my entire schooling grade was not like extraordinarily fantastic. I know there will be many people who will be 80s, 90s. So I was the representative of the university came down in April of 2021 to meet up with the
Okay.
potential students. Even the first word that he said was actually very
Hmm.
discouraging for me. One thing I would say suggest at this point is for any student, if you are applying for the UK market,
Can I ask you, if you do not mind, how much you are paid today, actually? So today we have Mr. Srinivasan from UK. I mean, his story is inspiring. You will get to know why I'm saying inspiring at the end of this story. Watch through the entire podcast to know. So, Srinivasan, thanks for joining in today. Please to tell us what you do for a living.
pleasure to be here in Lakshmi. I'm working currently as an operations research analyst, which is a subset of a business analyst role at Ernst& Young Global Headquarters, London.
That's great, actually. It's one of the top, I mean, firm which everybody wants to get in, actually. Okay. So that means, are you academically really bright student?
No, not really. Unfortunately, I think you would really come to realize that I've had the exact opposite case, in fact. So I would say the exact opposite would be the thing that you would have to mention here.
Oh, okay, okay. That's an interesting. Would like to. I mean, the podcast is really interesting to hear it now. Would you? I mean, if you're comfortable, can you please share it with the world? Where is those challenges happen? How did you got into? What is your undergraduate journey? And where did you got into
Mhm.
masters? And how did you? I mean, end up with Ernest and Young. Can you just give us a brief?
Yeah, on the simple facts, my family is from a middle class background, with my father being the sole primary bed earner by being a veteran in the Indian Air Force for 37 years. So I was kind of moving around almost every 3 years during the entirety of my childhood. So
That's
KVs going every 3 years, and my entire schooling grade was not like extraordinarily fantastic. I know there will be many people who will be 80s, 90s. So I was just the average student, comfortably coasting along 70s
okay.
throughout my entire schooling. I never used
Okay.
to get those high grades. So just an average student.
That's good.
Once I
Okay.
kind of came for my higher education, I kind of enrolled into TJ Institute of Technology, which is an affiliated college to the Anna University.
Okay.
During the 4 years of my bachelor's in technology and computer science, I didn't really manage to get to a good start, because maybe
Okay.
because of the prior environment in CBSE and the different style of teaching here, maybe it didn't match. Plus, I had my own issues with. I'm an asthmatic and nasobronchial allergy patient since the age of
Okay.
12. That kind of
Okay.
got really exacerbated while I was here in Chennai, and
Okay.
I was getting hospitalized almost every other month. So things were
Okay.
not going great. And
Okay.
obviously, getting arrears, then having to clear them through the backlogs, all of that induced quite a bit of stress as well. So I would say by the point of the time I had enrolled in my fourth year, it was so bad that I basically had to take a medical break initially and drop out. And after that, unfortunately, there were certain accentuating circumstances in my family, including the tragic death of a close family member.
Okay.
And I kind of totally dropped off. And it took about another 4 years for me to actually pick back up on this course by transferring the credits to a private university. I think some people would have known about the BIHER, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research.
Yeah.
So they were generous enough to understand my circumstances and still could see that I still wanted to pursue and had the interest to study further and improve in my career. So I'll be thankful for them to actually giving me that opportunity. I got most of my credits transferred there, and over the course of 2019 and 2020, so essentially during the coronavirus pandemic
Correct.
situation, I managed to graduate from there, after
Okay.
which is how I kind of got interested in supply chain. That's kind of something in the 4 years that I was totally out, I had picked up an interest on and wanted to apply for something really good and get into that field. And
Okay.
from my understanding, when I kind of was looking for, even in Chennai, The
Okay.
honest to goodness response I was getting from most educational agencies at that point was, sorry, we can't handle your case, for the simple
Okay.
reason that, like, they were very clear that we want to recommend you considering
Okay.
your passion and everything, but the
Okay.
fact that you have not completed your bachelor's degree in 7 or 8 years, because people
Okay.
maybe have some issues or something and they clear their arrears in a year or two extra, but you took a
True. True.
very long break, whatever the extenuating circumstances. We cannot recommend such a student anywhere abroad. So US, yeah, then Australia, New Zealand, many of the Anglo-Indian countries were completely out of the question.
Okay.
Then a couple of others were trying to send me to one odd specific kind of course in, say, something like Eastern Europe, something like
Okay.
Slovenia, Slovakia. And the thing is, whatever they were recommending was not also something that I really wanted to pursue. I wanted to
Okay.
pursue in supply chain. They are like, you have studied computer science, albeit with so much backlogs and just so much time that it has consumed, and they were just focusing that you have something, use that instead. So my interests were not being taken care of, and I kind of was totally on the down that perhaps this was not even a good idea to. At that point of time, I actually met Preeti,
Pretty.
who at that point of time is a fantastic counselor. She really takes that extra mile to go and understand the student, parents, the situation, and really brings out the best in you. So yes, I'm not an extraordinary student, but she did see that I didn't really manage to have any issues through my schooling period. Yes, perhaps the change and the health circumstances and other extenuating circumstances, such as a tragedy in my family,
Okay.
might have led to things not working out, but she could still see that as a student, I was still a very earnest and sincere student. And she
Okay.
kind of was constantly supporting, yes, you can do. And she kind of suggested to me UK as a place where I can apply, because here, at that point, I was not aware, but UK, after roughly 2.5 years of stay here, I can say they don't really care about your failures as much as how much passion you have, how much sincerity you are willing to put in with the hard work.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So through
Okay.
that, I tried to apply for the UK universities, and among them, Cranfield University, which is a purely postgraduate university, which has
Okay. Yeah.
zero undergraduates. I kind of had the opportunity to apply for the masters in logistics and supply chain management course there. And
Okay.
funnily, the representative of the university came down in April of 2021 to meet up with the
Okay.
potential students. And
Okay.
even the first word that he said was actually very
Hmm.
discouraging for me, because the very first word that he said was, see, we don't really expect much from the candidates. It's just that obviously we will be seeing whether you have an interest for it, your academic background, but we don't really expect like great grades or something. Despite Cranfield being one of the best universities in
Yeah.
UK, and the supply chain management course itself being ranked second in the UK and ninth best
Exactly.
in the entirety of Europe,
Yeah.
they said that we don't expect something extraordinary. What we expect is good average grades, and essentially your statement of purpose. That letter is what we will read into, because we will need to know
True.
why you want to do something, rather than uh, just because you have say money, or just because you are seeing an economic benefit out of it. So he did focus on the statement of purpose, but apart
Okay.
from that, he put forth a very casual condition, I would say. And I guess for most students it would be applicable, for it didn't apply to me, because basically he said that we expect a standard first class degree no matter what percentage you kind of come. And that's where I think it kind of was immediately a bombshell to me, because by definition, the fact that my degree took such a long time, regardless of the fact that I still managed to get about 60%, I will be only given a second class degree because I didn't finish the course in the allocated time span of
I
four
get it.
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was pretty much like, nope, not going to happen. But I still worked on, not just on the Cranfield's University's statement of purpose letter, but even other universities which I was trying to apply for, say, is like Sheffield University and a couple of
Mm.
others. So one thing I would say suggest at this point is for any student, if you are applying for the UK market, one thing that you should really focus is on your statement of purpose, because
Yes.
I took a long time. Like it took 6 solid weeks for the university to get back to me. And the
Okay.
funny thing is, I had a few offers from Sheffield and a couple of other places which were equally good, but
Yeah.
obviously they didn't have such a solid reputation for their supply chain course as much as Cranfield had. It took some
True.
time, but I got a fantastic outcome that they did give me a seat. And I was thinking maybe I will be the last or something, but that's not the case at all. I was like one of the middle pack who got his confirmation by May end. A few other people got only in mid June or even late June. So uh, it really does matter a lot in terms of what you put forth in your statement of purpose,
Okay.
because
That's good.
fr- because from the university's point of view, there are probably thousands, if not tens of thousands, of students applying for the same course, and uh, technically anybody could qualify because there is no hard requirement. So say if you are saying applying for say a postgraduate degree in say a master's in engineering or something of that sort, at least you can place a prerequisite of having this degree. Although supply chain management is a different course, it's still a management course, so the criteria is not so hard. But even despite that, there is quite a bit of students applying. And
Okay. Yeah.
if yeah, and if students might recollect at that point, because the pandemic had not struck, but however, we were just coming out of a global trade war. If students can recollect, under the presidency of Mr. Donald Trump, the US and the China had engaged in a economic trade war lasting from 2016 to roughly 2018. And in 2019, they were just starting to mediate those things. So firms had realized that supply chain is a huge thing that they need to focus because of geopolitical risk that is involved to in it. And there was quite a number of students who are applying for the course, especially when you consider the additional fact that just in 2020 they had kind of announced the post-study work visa being brought back in force. So
Yeah.
all of that helped to really drive up the competition. But I can say that the sole reason I got the seat was my statement of purpose reflected what I wanted to do, what my past was, and why I wanted to pursue
Yeah.
supply chain management.
Yes,
So,
yeah, as
mhm,
Srinivasan rightly said, like it's just not the marks. Your SOP makes a lot of difference, actually. Okay, and I would, when you were saying it, I always wanted to say this statement: attract the outcome you deserve. Srinivasan, really, you have actually attracted. I mean, like because when you are going through a, I mean, challenging time, you have not given up actually, because because a lot of people, whenever I meet them, they tell them that my score is not good actually. I have an Arrear.
mhm,
I mean, like, thank God today I got to know Srinivasan today and they got him on the podcast. This will set a lot of, I mean, like, ground for people who says like, I've not done well. It's not end. I mean, this story will inspire. Let's ask more from Srinivasan actually. So you I mean, Cranfield, getting into Cranfield is, as you rightly
yeah,
said, it's not the easy one, and especially
mhm,
supply chain they ranked really well. And getting into, I mean, Cranfield for supply chain, definitely he said, as he said, his SOP made the difference actually. So I mean, SOP is as important as your academic marks. Please do understand actually. I mean, thanks for highlighting that, Srinivasan. Tell me
yeah,
more about, like, I mean, can I ask you, if you do not mind,
mhm,
how much you are
yeah.
paid today actually at Ernest and Wong?
So
Your
my gross
salary is per
income,
annum?
yeah.
Yeah, gross
So
income
yeah, so my gross income currently as an analyst is at 37,500 pounds per annum. So that's
per annum, euro
roughly a little bit more than 37 lakhs 50,000 INR
in
per
INR
annum.
actually. Per annum. That's
So
great, actually.
obviously it can fluctuate a bit depending on what's the
Yeah,
currency rate, but
that's
roughly you can say a little bit over 37 lakhs.
yeah. How do they look at foreign universities actually? Having an arrear is it a sin or is it a
Okay.
crime rather?
So let me give you two perspectives. The entire concept of markings, gradings is, I'm not saying it's thrown out of the box, but
So what is the process for PR? And quickly, can you just touch it up
okay.
for
Yeah,
our
sure.
listeners actually?
There are actually two ways you can approach it. So, first thing I would say is any time on the student visa is not counted to a permanent residency. But